What's going on, everyone? So, the Chicago Bulls and Nikola Vucevic may end up working on a buyout later this summer. Now, they haven't yet. Chicago is trying to trade Nikola Vucevic, but supposedly there's no traction in the trade front. Right? They've essentially tried to just get anything for him. He's in his contract year. Right? He's getting older in age. He wants to go to a title contender. He doesn't want to, be on this rebuilding Chicago team, right? So both sides, if they're not able to find a trade for him, which I don't think they'll be able to, they've essentially lowered his price all the way down to essentially giving him away, and teams aren't biting, right? Because again, one, how many teams need a starting center? Two, how many teams need a starting center that's, 34, 35 years old? And three, right, like Nikola Vucevic is a great player, but he's limited in, some areas, specifically on the defense side of things. Now, he's not as bad as people make him out to be, but he's not like the defensive anchor that you're building and wrapping and warping your defense around, right? He's a guy that, he's good when guys are funneled to him. Right? He can be the cleanup guy. He's not great defending in space and on island, but if you're able to stay in front of your guy, he can be there and clean it up, block shots, get a steal, all that stuff, right? But according to Evan Sinery, that's where this report comes from. So I want to read the report and we'll dive into this a little more, because I do think if he's bought out, it makes a lot of sense for the Spurs. But we'll touch on that here in a moment. So again, per Evan Sinery, the Bulls have had little luck generating a trade market for Nikola Vucevic. After demanding a first-round pick at the deadline, Chicago's market for the soon-to-be 35-year-old has dried up. Vucevic wants to finish his career on a contending team, so a buyout could be an option. So, again, if he ends up getting bought out, if I'm the Spurs, I don't hate the idea of looking at him. Right? Spurs need more size. Right now, you have Victor Wembanyama and Luke Kornet. Luke Kornet was a great pickup, great acquisition. Now, you could go and trade for a center, right? But I would rather kind of just stay the course. If you can get Nikola Vucevic for free, that's the thing you got to keep in mind. He would be for free. Why wouldn't you do that? Now, here's the thing. He wants to go, and let's get this out of the way, and then we'll talk about it more. He wants to go to a contender. Spurs is going to be a contender this year? Probably not, right? Could it be a playoff team, something like that? Sure, right? Unless Giannis becomes available, probably not a contender unless you were to trade for Giannis. Then if you trade for Giannis, then yeah, depending on what you end up keeping. But De'Aaron Fox, Giannis, and Victor Wembanyama, probably a contender. Outside of that, Spurs are probably not contenders. They're probably just kind of staying the course, rebuilding. So I don't know if Nikola Vucevic would want to go to a place like that. But he does make a lot of sense, right? Again, like I said, he had a 113 defensive rating. That's good. He's usually around a 110. So he's not that bad defensively. Now, defensive rating isn't the be-all, end-all on the defense side of things, but it's usually it's a basic indicator of is somebody good defensively or not, right? Again, he's good at the rim as the help defender, right? Where's he best defensively outside of what the defensive rating says, right? Because, you usually get the people like, oh, you're going off a defensive rating. Well, defensive rating is a metric for a reason, but okay, let's break this down further, right? Again, he's a guy that isn't great at defending in space. He's a well below average guy in space. He can at times, if he's got the right angle, but in most part, he's getting torched out there. He's a guy that you want to kind of keep in the drop or, around the rim. But if your guard or wing can kind of keep and stay in front of him, kind of shift him in the direction of Vucevic, then he's actually a very good cleanup man. He's actually a very good help defender. He's a very good, again, cleanup man, which would be good alongside a Victor Wembanyama. You could even slot him alongside Victor Wembanyama. You could even start Nikola Vucevic if you wanted to. I wouldn't hate that idea. I'd probably like him off the bench, but I don't hate the idea of Vucevic and Victor Wembanyama as your 4 and 5, right? And one of the great things about Nikola Vucevic is he's one of the best rebounders in basketball. The guy is, say what you want about him, excellent rebounder. He also is coming off of a career year. The guy was lights out. Kind of cooled down a little bit towards the end of the season, but he also was sitting out and, he dealt with a little nagging injury. He's a guy that plays. He's Mr. Iron Man. He's basically giving you 75 to 80 games a season, but he kind of dealt with a little nagging injury, and Chicago was kind of tanking, so they were like, hey, you know what, take your time. So when he kind of came back from that, kind of, cooled down a little bit, but he's a guy that can spread the floor, operate around the basket. You can dump the ball down to him and he can go to work. Be a guy that I think Wemby could pick some stuff off of. Like I said, excellent defender, good help defender, all of those things, right? He's a guy that I do think can really kind of bolster this team a little bit. Right? Like, I think it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, that's it, watch out for the Spurs because you got Nikola Vucevic. But I do think he's a guy that, look, I talked last season, like during the trade deadline, about trading for Nikola Vucevic. And a lot of Spurs fans were like, yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. Good rebounder, can spread the floor, make plays out of the post. He's like a poor man Jokic, right? Like, that would be great on this team. Especially with guys. And look at it like this. Think of how good De'Aaron Fox played off of Domantas Sabonis. Right? Nikola Vucevic can do a lot of the same things, right? Rebounds the basketball well, can make plays out of the post, spread the floor as a pick and pop guy, right? You can run some, action with Vucevic and De'Aaron Fox. Like, he might be good just slotted alongside of De'Aaron Fox because he's a guy that, again, has familiarity and worked well with the Domantas Sabonis, right? So I look at Nikola Vucevic, it'd be a vet minimum, right? It's so low risk, high reward that, if he gives you anything close to what he was last year. I mean, last year he was a 19 point, 10 rebound, 4 assists guy on 53% from the floor. Like, that's great, right? And you might be able to get him for a vet minimum. Like, do that all day. Again, like if you had to go trade for him for the $20 million or something, it's kind of like, is that what's best for Spurs? But you can just get him, right? Like, why not, right? You could use another big man regardless. Even if he's just a guy coming off the bench, you can slot him and Luke Cornett at times because of Vucevic's ability to spread the floor. I was going to say stretch the floor, but spread the floor. And then Victor Wembanyama and Vu, I think you could play alongside because Wemby wants to take 8 threes a game, and it'd be nice to have a guy that can offensive rebound around the rim, right? And be a good rebounder and be a guy on the inside, guy that you can run your offense through at times on the block, guy that can, you can just like, hey, the offense is stagnant, guys aren't hitting shots, because you gotta keep in mind, I really worry about the Spurs shooting. De'Aaron Fox isn't a great 3-point shooter. Victor Wembanyama is very streaky. Like, Stephon Castle was not great at all. What kind of strides does he take in year 2? Dylan Harper was not a great college 3-point shooter. Like, Jeremy Sohan can't shoot a 3 to save his life. Julian Champagnie, okay, he's good. Right? He's not like elite. Like, Harrison Barnes is your best 3-point shooter. And so, like, what happens when the offense isn't cooking and you're struggling to score the basketball? It'd be nice to have a guy in Nikola Vucevic that you can put on the block, dump the ball down to him, and just let him go to work and get easy buckets, right? Just so your team can kind of see the ball go through the hoop a couple times, rather than like we have to just keep chucking up shots and hope that one finally goes in and we make one. It's like, no, put Vu on the block, get him down low, and let's go, right? Let him go to work. Let him go back to the basket and bully someone to the basket. Also, he's big, he's sizable, right? So he's a guy that you can plug in, especially in those bigger matchups, right? Like, think of the Western Conference. Western Conference is just like stacked and littered with just sizable centers. But let's go over what Nikola Vucevic did last year, right? Again, 34 years old, did extend 260. Good size, good strength on the inside. Last year, 73 games played, 72 games started. Like I said, he's Mr. Reliable. 73 games, 76 games, 82 games, 73 games, and then 70 games the last 5 years. Right? So talking about a guy that, like I said, is basically a lock to give you 73 games at worst, if not all 82 games. But he played 31.2 minutes per game last year, 14.2 field goal attempts per game, 53% from the floor, 40% from three-point range on 4.4 attempts. Like I said, he kind of cooled down there. He was shooting like close to 50%. Like, I think at one point he was like 53% or something crazy like that from three-point range. And then, he kind of started to average out in like the 40s. And then, like I said, he missed some time, came back, and then, kind of cooled off a little bit. But 2-point percentage on 9.8 attempts, so basically 10 attempts, 58.7%. EFG of 59.2%. Free throw shooting, it's one thing. He's always been a really good free throw shooter. Almost 81% on 2 attempts. Rebounding, 10.1 rebounds. He averaged 2.4 offensive rebounds, 3.5 assists, a steal, a block, and 18.5 points per game. Now, obviously, I'm not expecting him to be an 18 and 10 guy, especially off the bench. Maybe as a starter, maybe you could see him do that, if he's integrated in the offense in a particular way. But, look, if he could be a half that, if he could be a 9 and 5 guy off the bench, right, with like 2 or 3 assists, that's great. It's production off the bench that you don't currently have. I would look at it. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.